So let's expand our harmonic palette by adding in some more chords besides just basic tonic, predominant, dominant, tonic, 1, 4, 5, 1, and 1, 2, 5, 1. The first progression we're going to look at is the one that I call the doo-wop progression, because it's common in the doo-wop music from the 1950s. So starting on 1, the next chord that comes after is the 6th chord, minor 6, then major 4, then major 5, and it just repeats. So let's take a look more closely at how this works. Starting here in a root position, major 1 chord, C major. The next chord I'm going to go to, 6th chord, A minor, is a third away from the starting 1 chord. Root motions of a third are very smooth to voice lead in the chord in the right hand. There are 2 common tones between C major and A minor, C and E. So I'm going to keep those 2 common tones, and my other note only has to move by step to copy the bass, the root note that's in the bass here. So it goes like this to this. Now, A minor to F major, 6 to 4, is another root motion of a third. So I do the same exact procedure where I keep the 2 common tones, which are right here, and move the other note up by step to now double the root with the bass. And now I have root motion of a step to go from 4 to 5. So I'm going to get contrary motion happening to avoid parallels. And then 5 back to 1. Do the 1 common tone and move the other notes by step. So it looks like this, the whole thing. So that's the doo-wop progression. Let's next talk about the Plagal-Deceptive progression. So starting in the same place, this chord progression starts on 1, next moves to 5, then 6, then 4, and brings it back around to 1. So let's get into this one. Okay, root position, right hand chord position to start. You can choose any inversion you want. Goes from 1 to 5 in the typical manner, keeping the common tone, moving the other notes by step. Now we're going 5 to 6. There is our deceptive motion, right? Instead of 5 going back to 1, which it normally does, it deceives us by giving us the 6 as a tonic substitute, right? Okay. Now that's a root motion by step. So instead of going all parallels, let's try to get contrary motion between the hands to avoid the parallels. Now 6 to 4, root motion by third. So keep the 2 common tones, other note moved by step. And now 4 back to 1. This is our plagal motion. That's why we call it the Plagal-Deceptive progression. 4 back to 1. Common tone stays the same, move the other notes by step. Now notice if I do that, if I move that the smoothest way from 4 to 1, I end up on a different 1 chord right hand inversion than I started. So what you can do, if you want to avoid that, if you're repeating the progression over and over and you don't want your right hand to keep getting lower and lower, which will happen if you keep doing it following the smoothest connections between chords, what you can do is when you get to the 4 chord, is pick up the right hand and reset it the way you started it. So let me show you what that looks like. 1, 5, 6, 4, reset. 1, 5, 6, 4, and. So those are the doo-wop and Plagal-Deceptive progressions.